In this Blender tutorial, I'll show you how to create this procedural lemon material, and if you'd like to purchase this procedural material, you can get it with the links in the video description. And this procedural material is going to come as a custom node group, so you can customize the different settings of the material, and I'll show you how to make the node group in the tutorial. Now I've just finished creating another 10 procedural materials, so I've just released my next Blender procedural material pack with all of these most recently created materials. And all of these procedural materials have just been added to my Ultimate Blender procedural material pack. So if you're one of my existing customers of my Ultimate Material Pack, then you can re-download the product files to get the updates with all of these new materials. Or if you'd just like to purchase my 10 most recent materials, then you can check out my recently released material pack, so the links are all in the video description. So now I'll go over the custom node group settings. So there's a scale value to change the size of the entire material, so you can change this depending on the size of your object. And then there's also just the dot scale, so there's kind of like a little dots texture on the lemon, so you can change that there. Then there's also a noise scale, which is just a bit of surface noise, and then there's also the displacement scale. Then there is some different colors, so there's color 1, which is kind of the dots color, and then there's also color 2, which is the main base color. Now if you wanted to make this look like a different citrus fruit, then you could do that. So for example, I could make this more like an orangey color, and then make this more of like an orangey color, and now it looks more like an orange. Of course, I'd want to change the shape of the object, but you can see now it looks more like an orange, or I could also make it look more like a lime by making this more of a green color and then make this more green. So this material is actually pretty useful for creating really any type of citrus fruit. So then we also have the roughness value to make it more rough or shiny. Then we also have the subsurface weight, which allows a little bit of light to go through the mesh. And then also the subsurface scale, so you can change this depending on the size of the object if it doesn't look right. And then we also have the dots bump strength. So there's kind of a little dots pattern. And then you can also change the noise bump strength. And then finally, there is a displacement strength. So the displacement strength is just kind of making the material look a bit more wobbly. So you can kind of turn up the strength of that to make it look more bumpy. So if you'd like to purchase this procedural material, you can get it with the links in the video description. You can also check out my Ultimate Blender procedural material pack if you'd like to purchase all of my procedural materials. And as I mentioned, I just released a new update, and it comes with all of these 10 new procedural materials in the update. You can also purchase any of my materials individually on my Gumroad store. And to learn how to create more materials, you can check out my Blender procedural material tutorial playlist. So now I'll show you what I have set up in the 3D viewport, like the lighting and the object. So I'm going to go to the add menu, and I'm going to add an icosphere, and I'm going to zoom out here. And so right behind me on the icosphere settings, I'm going to turn the subdivisions up to 6 so it is nice and smooth and round. And also I want a lot of subdivisions so that the displacements can actually pop out the mesh and make it kind of bumpy. But you don't have to do that if you don't want to. You could just model a more low poly object if you want. I'm going to close the add icosphere settings. Now I'm also going to use the object context menu and just shade the object smooth. Now I want to model this closer to the real life scale in Blender, and so a lemon is going to be a lot smaller than this because the default objects in Blender are a bit larger than an average human. So I'm going to scale this object down, and I'll type 0.03. So 0.03, hit enter. I can hit period to zoom into the object, and then I'll hit Control A and just apply the scale. So that's going to be much closer to the real life scale in Blender. Then I'll go into edit mode, and I'm going to scale the lemon up on the Z axis just to make it a little bit more of an oval shape. And then I'll hit O to turn on proportional editing, and I'm just going to select one of the vertices on the very top, and I'll hit G and then Z and just kind of pull this up here because lemons usually have kind of a little bit of a bump on the top. Then I'll go down here to the bottom, and I'll just select a vertex on the very bottom here, and I'll just hit G and Z and just bring it down a little bit, maybe scroll my mouse wheel to change the size of the proportional editing, and just make a little small bump. So now we have a basic lemon object. I'm just going to rotate it to the side. So then I also added a camera, and I just pointed the camera right at the object. And if I select the camera and click over here to go to the object data properties, I turn the focal length up to 80 just to kind of zoom the camera in a bit so it looks a bit more flat. And then also to make it a square image, if I go here to the output properties and go to the format, I just set it to 1920 by 1920 so it is a square image. Now for the lighting, if I just zoom out here, you can see I added this area light right here. So if you go to the add menu, you can go to light and just choose area light. And so if I go over here to the area light settings, I turn the power to 10 and just left it as a white color. And I turn the shape to disk and kind of scaled it down so it's kind of small. And this light actually doesn't need to be very bright because this object is so small. So I'll go into the rendered view, and you can see we just have some nice light shining down on the object. Then I also wanted to add a rim light, so I duplicated the area light and I scaled it up a bit and put it bit here on the back. And so I made the color a very, very slightly yellow color. So if I go into the camera view and kind of zoom in here, you can see there's just a little bit of light here on the side of the object. I also turned the power to 7. Now also to get some nice realistic lighting or reflections in the world, I went over here to the world properties and I added in this Victoria Sunset HDRI from polyhaven.com. So the links are in the video description if you want to download it, and I downloaded the 1K HDR version. So once you download the HDRI, you can just add a new world, click here on the yellow dot next to color, and you can choose environment texture, and then just click on the open button and open up the downloaded HDRI. But then I don't want the HDRI to be too bright, so here on the strength, I'm just going to turn this down to a 0.5 so it's not quite as bright. And then to make the background transparent, you can go here to the render properties, you can open up the film tab, and just checkmark the transparent button so you can't see the HDRI in the background. And then I'm also going to open up the color management here, and I'm going to use the view of Filmic, and I'm going to set the look to very high contrast to make the colors more contrasted and saturated. So I'm in the shading workspace, so I have the 3D viewport right over here, and I'll go into the rendered viewport mode, and then I have the shader editor right over here, so I'll just make this smaller so I have more space. I'm going to click on new to add a new material here in the shader editor, and I'm just going to call this Lemon. And then I will also be using the Node Wrangler add-on in the video, so if you don't have that enabled, you can click on edit, you can go to the preferences, and then just go to the add-ons tab, and you can search for Node, and just enable the Node Wrangler add-on, and I'll show you how to use it in the video. So to start off, I'm going to search for a Voronoi texture. Let's drop it here, and I'm just going to Control-Shift select the Voronoi texture to preview it. So you can see the Voronoi texture has all these little like dots here, and we're going to use that to make the dots pattern on the citrus fruit. Now with the Voronoi selected, I'm also going to hit Control-T, and that's going to use the feature of the Node Wrangler add-on. It's going to add the texture coordinate and mapping nodes. And I'm going to plug the object up to the vector because the object coordinates is going to place the texture on the object more evenly. Now it kind of looks like the texture has disappeared, but we just need to turn up the scale, and now you can see the texture again. So I'm going to turn the scale of the Voronoi to 1300. So why I'm making it such a big number, or why I have to make it such a big number to make it small, is because the object was scaled way down. When I set up the lemon, I scaled it way down so it's better to the real life scale. So that's why I have to make it a pretty big size. Then on the F1, I'm going to change this to smooth F1 instead, because if I zoom in here, if I change it back to F1, you can see there's kind of little sharp edges there in between the circles, but if I turn it to smooth F1, it's going to be a lot smoother. So now I'm going to select these nodes and drag them back, and what I want to do is search for ramp and add a color ramp, and we're going to drop this after the Voronoi. So now what we can do is use the color ramp colors to make it more contrasty. So if I drag the white tab over, you can see the dots are going to be a little bit smaller and a little bit less visible. So I'm going to drag the white tab kind of to about here, so those black spots are a bit less visible. Now what I want to do is add custom colors to this. So I'm going to search for a mix color node. So we're going to add the mix color, and we're going to drop it here after the color ramp. And the color can go into the factor. So the factor is going to determine what part is going to be color A and what part is going to be color B. So for color B, I'm going to make this a nice kind of bright yellowy color. And then for color A, what I can do is actually click and drag and drop this material onto color A. So it's the same material. But then for color A, I can just make it like a little bit darker. So that way the dots are just going to be a slightly darker color and they look slightly more orange. And if you do want to use the exact same hex codes I'm using for color A, you can punch in a hex code of D4 8C00. And then for color B, to use the same exact color, you can punch in a hex of E7 9D00. So let's now take the mix result and we'll put that into the base color, and I'll just preview the principal shader. So now it's starting to look a little bit like a lemon. Let's take the roughness and turn it down to a 0.3 so that it's going to be a bit more shiny. Now what I also want to do is put this into a bump so that the dots are kind of bumpy. So I'm going to search for a bump node. We're going to add the bump and drop it here, and the bump normal can go into the normal of the principal shader. And so this way we can add values into the bump, and it's going to convert it to bump data and make it look like a normal map. So what I can do is take the distance of the Voronoi and put that into the height value. So now you can see it's like converting it to bump data, so it looks like we have kind of that bumpy texture there, which is common on citrus fruit. Now I want to turn the distance down, so I'm going to turn the distance value to a 0.0001. So it's very subtle. So now you can just kind of see in the reflections, we just have a very subtle texture. Now, if I Control Shift select the bump to preview it, I don't exactly like how this bump is. I want to make it a slightly different shape. So what I'm going to do is search for RGB curves, and I'm going to put the RGB curves between the Voronoi and the bump. So just stick it right there. And if I just go here to the color value, so click on the C there, the color value or contrast value, what I can now do is just click here in the center to add a dot, and I'm just going to drag this dot up. And you can see when I drag it up, you can see the flat spots here are a bit more smooth, and then you can see the dots are a little bit more sharp. So you can see as I drag this up, it's kind of just changing the shape of it. So I just like how that looks a little bit better. So I'm just going to Control Shift select the principal shader again, and you can look closely there at the material, and I just like the shape of that surface a bit better. Now let's also go back over to the principal shader, and I want to give it a little bit of subsurface to make it look like light is kind of going through the mesh a little bit to make it look a bit more like food. So let's open up the subsurface here, and I'm going to turn the weight just to a 0.2, so there's a tiny little bit of subsurface. So you can kind of see right around here, kind of in the shadows, there's just a slight kind of like reddish color, so it looks like light is just going through the mesh a little bit. But I'll keep all the other settings at the default for the subsurface. So now what I want to do is just add a slight noisy pattern over the surface. So I'm going to search for a noise texture. Let's drop the noise texture here underneath the Voronoi. We can select the texture coordinate and mapping and drag them down, and I'm going to put the vector into the vector of the noise. So let's now preview the noise texture, and I can change the settings. So for this, I'm going to turn the scale to 100, and I'll turn the detail up just a little bit to 5, so there's just a little bit more detail, but then I'll keep the other settings how they are. So now what I want to do is put this into the bump as well, so there's just a little bit of noise over the surface. So I'm going to click on the bump, and I'll hit Shift D to duplicate, and drop it here after the first one. And let's now just preview the principal shader. So the normal from this one can go into the normal, so we now have this extra height value that we can add data into. So let's take the noise texture factor and put that into the height value to convert it to bump data. So now if you take a look closely at the lemon, it's kind of hard to see. And if I go over here to the distance value, if I click on the distance value, it's very small. So I'm going to turn it back to a 0.001 and hit enter. So now you can see there's just a little bit of noise over the surface. You can actually Control Shift select the bumps here, just kind of a preview it. So you can see there it is. So it's just adding a little bit of noise over the surface. So I'll just Control Shift select the principal shader to preview it again. So it's definitely looking like a lemon now, but I do want to add just a little bit more imperfection to make it look slightly more realistic and to make the shape just slightly random. So I'm going to put another noise texture into the displacement just to give it a tiny little bit of bump. And that's why I added a very detailed object. You can see if I go into edit mode, the mesh is very detailed, so the displacements will have more geometry to pop out the mesh. If you have a more low poly object, it'll still pop out the mesh, but there just won't be quite as much detail. So what I'm going to do is drag the noise texture up, and then I'm going to search for another noise texture. And let's drop this after this one, and I can use the object coordinates. So I'll put the mapping vector into the vector, and let's just preview this noise texture. And I'll change the settings. So I'm going to turn the scale to 50, and then I'll turn the detail to 5, so it's a little bit more detailed. So now what I can do is take the noise texture factor, and I can drag this all the way over to the displacement and put it into the displacement, and then I'll just Control Shift select the principal shader. Now there's clearly a problem here with the shading, and that's because we need to convert the black and white data into displacement data that the material can use. So to do this, we need to search for the displacement node, and we're going to drop the displacement node between the noise and the material output, so drop it right here, and then the factor is going to go into the height value to convert it to displacement data. So if I just hit the M key to mute and unmute the node, you can see there is now a little bit more surface bump, but it's not actually popping the material out, even though it does look more bumpy. That's because I need to hit the N key to open up the side panel, and I want to click here on the Options tab, and let's open up the settings and go to Surface, and on the bump only on the displacement, we want to change this to displacement and bump. So this is telling the material that it can use the displacements, so I'll just hit the N key to close the side panel. So now you can see it looks all nice and bumpy, but that's way too strong, so we can turn the scale value down to make it less strong. So I'm going to turn the scale to a 0.002. So 0.002, so now just on the edges, it looks just slightly bumpy, so it just adds a little bit more detail and makes it a little bit more realistic. So that is it for the entire procedural material. So I'll now show you how to join it together into a node group to make it more useful and customizable. So I'm going to click and drag to box select all these nodes. So box select all the nodes except the material output, and then hit Control G to join it together into a node group. So I'll hit the tab key to go outside the node group, and I'm going to drag the node group right over here, and let's drag it out to make it bigger. And I can just copy the material name and paste it here into the node group, so it's called Lemon. Now I want to rename the BSDF, I want to rename that to Shader, so I'll hit tab to go into the node group, I'll hit the N key to open up the side panel, and I'll click on the group tab, and here on the group sockets, I'm going to double click on this to rename it, and I'm just going to call it Shader, because I like that better. So now right over here we have the group input, and we can plug up all the custom values to the group input, and then we'll be able to control those values outside of the node group. So this mapping is plugged up to all the textures, so this scale will change the size of the entire material. So I'm going to put the scale into the extra socket, but then if I click on the scale, it's going to be 3 values, but I just want it to be 1 value, so we're going to turn the vector to float. Then we need to turn the default value to 1, but the texture is still missing on the object. That's because I need to hit tab to go out of the node group, and I'll turn the scale back to 1. So that'll change the overall size. So let's go back into the node group. The next value that I want to control is the dot scale, so I'll drag the group input right up here, and so this Voronoi here, this is going to change the size of the dots, so I'll put the scale into the extra socket, let's double click on this to rename it, and I'll call it dots scale. Then I want to change the noise scale, so this noise here, I'll put the scale into the extra socket, double click on this to rename it, and I'll call it noise scale. And then also I want to control the displacement scale, so let's drag the group input down here, and I can put this scale into the extra socket, and this one I'm going to rename to displacement scale. And if you wanted to, you could add like the detail values or these roughness values. I'm not going to though, because I don't find that it really is that useful. It doesn't add too much to the material. Now let's add the colors. So I'm going to drag the group input right up here. And what we can do is take color A from the mix and put that into the extra socket, and then also color B. And then let's just rename this. So I'm going to call this color 1, or you could call it like dots color. And this one, I'm going to call it color 2, or you could call it like base color, whatever you want to do. Let's now drag the group input over here, and we can take the roughness and put that into the extra socket. Then we can also take the subsurface weight, and we can put that into the extra socket. I'll just leave it as subsurface weight. And then also, if you have an object which is maybe larger or smaller, then you might want to change the scale here of the subsurface. So I'll put the scale into the extra socket, so we have the subsurface scale. Then I want to control the bump strengths. So let's drag the group input down here, and we have these 2 bump strengths. So the first one is the dots. So I'll put the strength into the extra socket. We can double click on this to rename it and just call it dots bump strength. And then this other one here, this is going to be the noise bump strength. So I'll put the strength into the extra socket. We'll double click on this to rename it, and I'll call it noise bump strength. And then finally, I want to control the displacement to actually pop out the mesh. So we can take the scale, we can put that into the extra socket, double click on this to rename it, and I'll call this displacement scale. So let's hit the N key to close the side panel, and I'll just drag the group input back over here, and then I can hit tab to go out of the node group, and I'll just save the project again. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and thank you for watching. And if you'd like to purchase this procedural material and help support the channel, you can get that with the links in the description on my Gumroad and Patreon. Now I've also just created another 10 procedural materials, so I've just released my next procedural material pack with all of these 10 materials, so you can check that out in the description if you're interested. And also these 10 new materials have been added to my Ultimate Blender Procedural Material Pack. So if you're one of my existing customers, you can re-download the product files to get the update with all of the new materials. So you can just set up the asset library in Blender's user preferences, and then you can just drag and drop the materials into your 3D scenes. And to learn how to create more materials, you can check out my Blender Procedural Material tutorial playlist. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and thank you for watching.